When it comes to numismatics, Q. David Bowers has just about seen it all. And fortunately, when time permits, he generously shares his experiences with coin enthusiasts. Dave is among the most prolific and best-known numismatic writers of all time. Among his many honors, he was chosen in 2010 as one of the inaugural class of inductees into the PCGS Coin Dealer Hall of Fame. From his unique vantage point, he has worked firsthand with some of the most valuable collections and important collectors in U.S. numismatic history. Certainly one of the most intriguing of all American coin collectors was Louis Eliasberg. Mr. Eliasberg gained fame beyond numismatics for putting together the only complete collection of United States coins ever assembled. David Bowers honored Eliasberg by authoring a book about him entitled appropriately, Louis Eliasberg, King of Coins. In June of 2011, we spent some time with Q. David Bowers at the Stax Bowers Gallery's headquarters in California. We're sure you'll enjoy Dave's account of his relationship with Louis Eliasberg and his personal experience with the amazing coins of the Eliasberg collection.
Of the 6 most valuable coin collections ever sold at auction, including the very most valuable, the Eliasberg collection, Stax Bowers Galleries and our antecedents, including me, and years past, have cataloged 5. We have earned more price records over the years since 1935 than any other company. We've handled more rarities. Among those was the Eliasberg collection of Louis Eliasberg Sr., which began with the first federal coin, the 1793 half cent, and ended with the 1933 double eagle, one of everything known to him during his lifetime. Coins are coins and collectors are collectors, and the people who collect coins can be very interesting. One of my favorite individuals is the late Louis E. Eliasberg. Louis Eliasberg did something no one ever did and no one will ever do again. In 1950, he completed the only collection of United States coins to have one of every date and mint mark in it, from the very first 1793 half cent to the last, the 1933 double eagle. Every Carson City, Denver, New Orleans coin, every date, he had an example, often in very nice condition. He started collecting in 1925. He was a banker in Baltimore. Success attended his banking efforts, and he added to his collection year by year. He was also an economist. I got to know Louis quite well, and he could stand up on a proverbial soapbox and tell you how the economy went to hell after the gold standard was abandoned in 1933, or he could tell you what he thought of the Federal Reserve System, or the good points, bad points of federal budgets, silver, gold, you name it. He's very, very knowledgeable, very intelligent man. He liked coins. He collected them as an investment, but he also collected them to share. In 1953, when Queen Elizabeth II was crowned, the coronation ceremony was featured in a color article on the cover of Life magazine. Inside Life magazine, in another color article, a double-page spread, were highlights from the Eliasberg collection. Louis received over 6,000 letters from Life magazine writers and answered every one of them. Here's an important, extremely successful figure in the banking business, but a lady would write and say, okay, you have a rare 1913 nickel. Well, I have one that's even older. I have a 1907. And he'd write back, well, ma'am, thank you for writing me. I'm glad you liked the article, but your coin is not worth $1,000. It's probably worth 15 cents, but I hope that you enjoy owning it. And I don't know how many people would do that. He also exhibited his collection at the Smithsonian and at the United States Mint. One day in 1975, he called me, and I lived in California at the time. Presently, I live in New Hampshire, having moved there in 1980. But he said, Dave, would you come and visit me in Baltimore as my guest for a week? And I said, well, certainly I'll do that, because he had the world's greatest collection. And he said, well, I'll pay your way. I'll, take care of everything. And I said, well, no, don't do that, Mr. Eliasberg. I mean, part of being a coin dealer is, we go and look at collections, and looking at the collection of collection, although you and I have met before, but immersing myself with you for a week, that's something that money can't buy. I'm happy to treat. And he said, well, the reason I'm doing that is because I value your expertise. I'm not completely up to date on new grading ideas and standards. and also the value of my coins. And you and I have talked a number of times in the past, and you've always been fair and square and giving me good advice. And I'd like you to come to Baltimore, but I want to pay your way because I don't want you, as soon as you return to Los Angeles, to call up and say, okay, now when are you going to sell me your collection? Or let me auction the collection, because maybe I won't do that. So I want to have no guilt, no obligation. So I said, okay, fair enough deal. And he put me up in the Lord Baltimore Hotel, which a friend of his owned, in a nice suite. And every day I spent in the bank vault with Louis Eliasberg, looking at his coins, having lunch brought in every evening with him and his wife at dinner. 5 days of immersion. He had little file cards, and I would grade each coin. I think this is a VF35, I think this is a Mid-State 65, whatever it was, and he took notes. We had a grand old time. Along the way, he would tell me some stories. One of my favorite of his stories, which I've repeated a number of times since then, he said in Baltimore in 1932, there were two men walking down the street. One man had 5 gold coins in his pocket, and the other man had a gallon of whiskey. One was a criminal breaking the law. In 1934, 2 men were walking down the streets of Baltimore. One had 5 gold coins in his pocket, and the other was carrying a gallon of whiskey. Again, one man was breaking the law. Which one? Well, in 1932, the man holding the whiskey was breaking the law because Prohibition was in effect. In 1934, the man holding the whiskey wasn't breaking the law at all, but the person with gold coins was, because Roosevelt said you had to turn them in or it was illegal to keep them. But stories like that are sort of fun in the telling and are part of what numismatics is all about. Mr. Eliasberg passed away shortly after my visit, within a year, and his family contacted me. His son Richard in 1982, asked me to come to Baltimore. He consigned the gold portion of the collection. His son Richard, other son, in a series of sales from 1986, 87, and then on into the 21st century, consigned the rest, bringing over $56 million totally, by far the most valuable collection of United States coins ever auctioned. When I think of the collection, I think of Mr. Eliasberg, but I also think of the rarities, some of the pieces that are one of a kind, like the only known 1870s $3 gold piece. The only 1822 $5 gold piece in private hands. There are 3 known totally, and the other 2 are in the Smithsonian. And many coins that were the finest of their kind. They might not be the only one known, but they're among the finest. I also enjoyed the research, looking through the records, and it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience.